If you didn't have much longer to live, would you do the same? My grandpa prepared my grandma for his death. A few months ago, my grandpa suddenly collapsed from a heart attack. Based on the lab's results, the doctors said that he wouldn't likely survive the next heart attack. My grandpa looked unbothered, but his eyes looked like it was filled with thoughts and worry. When we got home, he immediately started writing in his journal and spent several days rearranging things around the house or making things in the garage with his carpentry tools. It was like he was in a trance, and everyone got really worried about his mental and physical health. My parents tried getting him to rest, but he refused, saying that he would once he was done with the things he needed to do. I was really curious about what had him so busy, so on a day that I was home alone with my grandparents, I approached him in the garage and asked, "What have you been working on, Pop?" He smiled at me and asked me to watch how he was sanding down another piece of furniture he crafted. Once he was done, he asked me to sit out on the porch with him to drink tea. We watched the sunset while he finally opened up, "It's for your grandma." I asked him what he meant, and he explained how the moment he heard that the next heart attack was going to be his last moment, he started listing things down for my forgetful grandma, like important birthdays, her personal information, and information about him. He spent time writing letters for my grandmother to read after he had passed so that she wouldn't get lonely. I asked him about the furniture in the garage that he had been making, and he explained how my grandmother had been asking him for them as gifts in the future. He talked about how she even specifically wanted a small little library for all the books she wanted to collect after their retirement together, so he planned and designed an entire bookshelf display in the garage. Each bookshelf had their old wedding vows carved on the side. He took a sip of his tea and said, "Make sure to help your grandma move in the new furniture. And don't complain if she wants to put it in weird places. Just trust her vision because it always ends up wonderful in the end." I smiled and hugged him, agreeing that she had great taste in designing. After a while, we sat in silence. We finished our tea, and he went back to the garage to finish his current project. Later that night, while I was studying for my exams, my grandpa yelled for help in a panicked voice. I jumped up and ran down the stairs to their room. I gasped and immediately ran back up to wake my parents up and dial 911 for help. An ambulance arrived after about 15 minutes and took my grandparents to the hospital. My parents and I followed using our car. We filled out papers and sat in the waiting room for about 2 hours before a doctor came back out, shaking his head while offering his condolences. We were escorted into the room and saw my grandpa sitting in a chair beside the bed, crying and saying why over and over again. He held my grandma's now lifeless hand. While my grandpa survived his first heart attack, my grandma's heart couldn't take it. My grandma's death really took a toll on the family, and we spent a couple months mourning. But one morning, my grandfather woke up in high spirits and even made an entire breakfast for the entire family. We asked him what got him in such a good mood, and he said, "I found her prayer book." We looked at him with a confused expression, and he explained how in the last entry of the journal where she writes out each prayer, my grandma asked God to take her before he takes my grandpa because she couldn't live in a world without him. We all got teary-eyed and cried together over breakfast.